So the outer world of change. Here comes Stephen. Good. So when we are centered in real self, the world of change, of relationship, of pain and pleasure, of likes and dislikes, continues as it is, but we are not influenced. We are not dictated by them. So it is all because the mind has transformed. One, and it is also because this mind is now not running after anything in the world because of likes and dislikes. But the same mind uses the world. Yes, we have Lara. So it uses everything at its best. So we are understanding what and who prompts the mind to seek happiness outside. Once it is very clear to the mind, and we live in awareness then only we live in awareness from moment to moment. I have some thoughts coming to my mind. What an amazement, what a surprise. What about an amazement and surprise that we are talking about the real nature, the very existence which is beyond all the five senses, and still we are listening from ears. Did you get it? We are in search of the real self, that is pure consciousness. So what an amazement and surprise that we are communicating. We are communicating through our mind in the same sense organs. What an amazement and surprise. Our tiny head nods and moves in affirmation, listening about real self, and still it transcends this brain and the mind. Are you getting it? It transcends the brain and the mind. So when the mind touched that consciousness, you take the world lightly. Divorce, marriage, single, happy, married, happy. Everything falls into its right place. Because that is the nature of the world. Do you see? I always see every day I wake up in the morning, what an amazement and a surprise in our life that we are settled inside completely, and this world of change continues. Relationship, world, pain, pleasure, someday the body says discomfort, and it continues. The next day it is comfort. What a surprise. The seekers are listening. What a surprise. The teacher is talking using the same sense organs. And what we are talking about, we are talking which transcends the sense organs in the mind. Do you see that amazement and a surprise? And if you live in that amazement and surprise every day, every moment, the mind is purified. That is the meaning of living from moment to moment. That is the meaning of living from moment to moment. So in this series, we are going logically so that your intellect starts thinking about the reality. If we do not think, nothing is going to happen. That is very much sure. If you say twice a week or thrice a week, listening for an hour, and the rest 23 hours is mind is already attached to the world outside. We are not saying, our masters are not saying that you do not live in the material world. You live there, but the world should not live in you. That is, but I have to think about it. If I do not think, my intellect will not push the mind for clarity. And if the mind does not push for, mind is not clear, what will happen? It came from the animal mind, instinctive, habitual. Same stuff again and again. Same stuff. We wake up, we sleep, we dream, we have some pain today, tomorrow is a pleasure. That we have been doing for days after days, weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years. And one day, goodbye to this world. We did not find our real self. If that thinking goes into our head, the mind will dare not to move into likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment. Someday you get less money, someday you get more. Someday you like a particular food and that causes you constipation. The other day, this world should be like this. It will continue. So it doesn't mean that we should not take care. We should use these instruments to the best of its ability without attachment. That needs to be thought upon again and again and again and again. Otherwise, what will happen? You see that when the tap water is leaking, you check it and take step to stop leaking. Same thing, mind is always leaking. Mind is always leaking to something else. One day you say, honey, you are good. No, I have some reservation about you. Who says this? I should become aware. Mind. Come on, mind. Come on, mind. Take rest. I have to think. If I do not think, nothing. Contemplation and reflection. So now we are all seekers. Breathing practice, mantra practice, all the practices are definitely good. At what level? When we are becoming a seeker. When we are already a seeker, Master says the highest practice is listening to these principles first, contemplation and reflection on those principles second. Until you are inspired within that I have to do the practice, I have to live into that state of awareness all the time. We are living in the same world, with the five sense organs and mind. What an amazement and a surprise that the mind is still united with the real self. There is no other surprise in this world. No surprise. Even if you get $1 million, there is no surprise. So that is why one master says, Satsangatve Nisasangatvam. When you are listening to these principles, even for an hour, it demands minimum, do you remember? 9 hours of contemplation on one principle. So should you stop working and you contemplate? No, you live your life. Contemplate in the mind. What is that contemplation? Your honey says, what a crazy you are. Contemplate. Thank you, honey. I'm more crazy than you think. That is contemplation. Same thing, Brandy. You go to teach someone, carefree. Why? I am settled in myself. That will come only by listening. If someone says you are crazy, you say, hold on. It will not work. So it works only until you are becoming a seeker. Do you see? Understand that. That is why the master says, Satasangatve Nisasangatvam. I have to listen. I heard my master 26 years. Every day, some majority of the time for 5 to 6 hours. Satasangatve Nisasangatvam. So what happens? By listening, the mind reminds those principles. When you contemplate, the intellect settles into that principle. What is the first result? Detachment. Detachment from the world outside. Attachment is emotional dependence on the people, objects, things outside. There is nothing more than that. And when you have an emotional dependence on any person, things outside, you have to suffer. It creates a delusion. No, I had a lot of expectations. That is why I married. You should have told before. I should have given a break. No more expectations. So the first thing the master says, Satasangatve Nisasangatvam. And once we have the sense of detachment, Nirmohatvam. Nirmohatvam. What is Nirmohatvam? That detachment awakens in your intellect the right knowledge. That detachment. Detachment, when I say attachment is emotional dependence, it means you don't go back to your home and you say, honey, now I'm not dependent on you emotionally. Then you are more crazy. Keep inside, so once you drop emotional dependence, what will happen? It will be replaced by love and care. It will be replaced by love, care, kindness. Why? I am living in this material world with my body and a mind in relationship. I must do what I have to do every day. Without fail, without laziness. So when I feel responsible, when I drop the emotional dependence and I move with affection. You move with affection to yourself the moment you wake up in the morning. Allow the intellect to think like this. No, let me move with affection. In relationship, in the world outside. So, Satasangatve Nisasangatvam, Nisangatve Nirmohatvam. Nirmohatvam, when I have the right knowledge in the intellect, see that third point. When I have the right knowledge in the intellect, what an amazing statement this master makes, who lived almost 1700 years ago, Shankara. He says, Nirmohatve, with the right knowledge, your body and mind will remain steady. You cannot make the mind steady by breathing through right nostril and breathing out through left, and then arguing, no, we should do it with the right nostril, we should not do it with the left nostril, no, we should breathe little shorter and longer. That is the process of becoming a seeker. Now we are a seeker. We will continue those practices when required. But there should not be emotional dependence on those things. Nirmohatve nishchal tattvam. With that right knowledge in the intellect goes to the mind, drops the leaking of the mind. Mind is already steady. Where the mind is wandering. And then what happens? Nishchal tattve. Nishchal tattve jivan mukti. So in the 4 steps, this master says, when the mind is steady, you are in meditation, that awakens you to the real self. Think of this. Contemplate and reflect. What an amazing life. What we see, what an amazing life of a Bollywood actor. There's the greatest Bollywood actor, like Hollywood, more than $50-60 million in something like this. You see that? We see the world. What an amazing Bollywood actor. He has $50 million. And what happened last week? You see that amazement drops instantly. So his son was caught because of drug peddling. I ask your intellect to think, can I be in peace here and now? I have no money, I'm not as smart as Bollywood actor. Think of this. I have to think. If I think like this, the mind drops. The mind that is deluded by the world outside drops. There is no difference between a person who is settled in meditation and you see who is a non-seeker, and millions of people are around us. Outside there is no change, but inside there is a tremendous calm, peace is there within. We need to contemplate and reflect. We are in the series 2 of becoming a seeker. But understand that the knowledge is realized in stages. My master used to say that this seed does not become a tree overnight. Same way, the knowledge is realized in stages. That is why listening, contemplation, dropping the attachment, and then this intellect gives the right knowledge to the mind. You drop the instinctive habitual nature, then the mind becomes steady, and the steadiness of the mind leads to meditation. Meditation leads to settled in the real self. $50 million. We Indians, think we dream that, okay, let me see his house, which even cost, you see, around $1 billion. Now see, I have seen, this cost $1 billion. Now ask your mind how it takes it. Amazing, surprising. Oh, he is such a great man. What happened to this great man? What about his recognition and reputation? So earn reputation and recognition within. That is the best thing to do in our life. And the meditation helps us to get that recognition. Do I have that intellect which thinks like this? And then tell me when you will be when you will be miserable, when there will be a stress in your life. Then you take this world lightly. It does not mean that you should not work hard. It does not mean that you should not earn money. Do you see that? Do you see the inner change? I am earning money now as a user, not as an emotional dependence on the objects outside. Are you getting it? So once I think like this, then what will happen? You wake up one day in the morning and mind says, oh, just take the work casually. Do your work the best possible way. In relationship, play your role. I'm a teacher. Let me play my role the best for an hour. Finished. We'll talk one thing in detail in the next session, but I gave you an idea and the thought process of our masters. So I open the topic that why and how the mind prompts to look into these desires. What and who prompts the mind to seek happiness outside? Have you heard that like attracts like? Magnet is there, iron fillings are there, it attracts. What causes the mind to go back again, even after listening? Even if your mind says, I'm clear now, and the next day I have a big face. Why? So he says, this master says, there are 5 features of the material world, and because the mind is a matter, like attracts like, and we forget our real nature. Did you get it? First thing, and now let us understand the first. First is the object of experience. Object of my experience. What is the object of my experience? Oh, I have a wonderful monitor, 2 monitors. I'm looking at you and I'm looking at whether it is being recorded or not. First is the object of experience. So that object is a matter, and mind says it is wonderful, attached. Use it, throw it. No, don't throw it means that use it and forget. Second is very important. Oh, what a sensation. We hug each other. Oh, I like you, I love you. Second is this, the material world outside and the body are made up of the same matter. Do you see that? Are you getting it? This body and the material world, tell me what is the difference? Same carbohydrate, protein, minerals, same matter. 108 elements. What is the main thing? Matter. This is matter, world is matter. Like attracts like. Mind says, when you are already attracted, so let me enter into attachment, let me enter into emotional dependence, let me enter into delusion. Third, do you see that the seeing, feeling, 5 sense organs, and their experience in the mind is material or not? Think of this. Touch. So mind creates a delusion here. This is matter, this is also matter, the very experience is happening is also the matter. But the mind is deluded, and mind falls into delusion, and then once one touch gives rise to millions of touches. Oh, I had baked, I ate that food. Mind says, repeat it. How many times we have repeated eating into the same restaurant? What happened? Are you able to accumulate all the pleasures together to say that, here is my happiness? This thinking is required. Again, I'm saying, don't stop going to the same restaurant, but now emotional dependence is not there. If you don't get it, you are happy. You get it, you are happy. So mind is free. Fourth factor of this material world, that it is subject to change. From amoeba to elephant, from earth to the sun, everything is changing. So that change is subjected by the birth and the death. And this subjected, when it is subjected by the birth and death, it's the birth and death of the body, not me. I am the real self. Hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought. I am the real self. So why to hold on to that thought? To make the mind steady. Why to make the mind steady? Withdrawn inside. What happens when the mind is withdrawn inside? The mind reflects the real self inside. We discover ultimate peace and happiness. We discover ultimate peace and happiness. Every practice in Eastern wisdom, in yoga, Hatha Yoga, Kundalini, mantra, mindfulness are useful. But you should understand when these practices and steps are required in your life. Where the needle is required, you don't use the scissors. So do you see that? Oh, Kundalini meditation is wonderful. Let me do it. The next day I'm on the bed. Mindfulness. Just do nothing. Close your eyes. Focus on the breath. And the mind is reacting and resisting. I should find out when and where to use these different modes of practices based on becoming a seeker. That is the message. So once we understand, now you see you have an understanding, 5 factors. Mind is a matter, material world is a matter, body is a matter, like attracts like. Let me maintain my awareness. I am beyond all of these. When I am beyond all of these, what will happen? Now this mind does not contain any object, any time, any place, any event, anything of the world outside. It will reflect the real self. That is what the highest meditation is. So after the gossip, let us start our practice. Eyes are closed. Eyes are closed. Body comfortable. Now you see that internally, after listening, the intellect has become, intellectual maturity is there at this time, but that maturity is realized in stages by regular practice. So body is comfortable. Check that you are aware who feels the mind, who knows the intellect. So even if you think, okay, let me see, non-verbally, that is what the awareness is. So body is steady and the mind is facing within and the eyes are closed. Now you see what an amazement and a surprise that we symbolizes. Eyes are closed because now we are not interested in the 5 gateways, means the 5 sense organs that is running after the respective objects of the world. How it is possible? Just by awareness. No, now at this moment, even if you do half an hour of breathing, the mind will continue to stay there with the objects of the sense organs. So we have to understand each and every step how it works. And that is a great responsibility of a seeker treading the path. Body is steady, intellect says yes. Why it is steady? Why it is steady? Because the mind is not reflecting on the objects of the world outside through the body. That is why it is steady. That is why we closed our eyes. I can bet you if your intellect is awake at this moment while undergoing the practice, you will be surprised that the body that was complaining for years calms down. It says, no, I'm already steady. And that is what I'm looking at all of you. But until we become a seeker, we can't realize. We argue. Who argues? The mind. How? Why? That is why and how mind prompts us to live with the desires. So body is steady. Mind is looking inside. Even if you have thoughts, let there be. So that becomes, you become carefree. You see? The next step is being carefree. Oh, that is, the intellect is 100% sure what to do, when, where. Your mind will say, no, but I have a lot of thought. Okay, thank you. Let it come and go. Because the body is the servant of mind. And the mind is deeply attached to the body. So when we make the body comfortable in the field of awareness, mind is also prevented going out. And that is why we go for being comfortable. So looking at the neck joint being there, feel sensation, comfort and steadiness. So ask the mind, can you see beyond the experience of sensation, comfort and no, I see the space and blankness. Okay, be with the space. At least allow the mind even for a few seconds to be with the space. The outward moving tendency of the mind doesn't want to stay in that space, doesn't want to stay in absence. Why? Mind always needs presence. Presence of a honey, presence of a money, presence of a things that I like. You see? That is why we are being comfortable. Look at the shoulder joints being there. We are moving to the next level of being comfortable by understanding. Not by, okay, let me adjust and line and stretch. How long you are going to stretch this body? Poor body. shoulder joints, being there. Feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. And then ask the mind, what is beyond that? Oh, absence, yes, space, blankness. Absence means what? Goodbye to the world outside. That is the meaning of absence. The entire body from the top to the toes. Carefree. Being comfortable. So sensation, comfort, and steadiness. When we don't feel any sign of challenges in the body, the entire day passes peacefully. Body is comfortable, not complaining. So when the complaint comes, then the mind says, I have to do a lot of things. Then you have millions of the thoughts. Clarity, being comfortable. You can use any word, but essence is that. Now being carefree, the thought comes, let it come. Thought goes, let it goes. What it means actually for the intellect. And I have given you many metaphors. Standing across a road, watching the traffic. So what this metaphor symbolizes, it gives you a knowledge in the intellect that I am the knower of a thought, and thoughts are separate and different from me. Use the same metaphor. The traffic that is moving is separate, different, far away from me because I'm standing across a road. So let the mind stand across a road of the mental traffic. Mind says, I like this thought, I just. No, that's not a. That is not the work we should do now. Tell the mind, I will take care of your likes and dislikes later. One great businessman said, Sir, if I get a good idea about my business, should I continue thinking about that in meditation? You know the answer. Good, bad, high, low. At this time, I am simply aware of the thoughts are different and separate from me. That awareness is in between. One side the thoughts, the other side you. And in that state, when the mind is looking inside, we expand the mind by mantra. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be well-being for all. 108 elements. What exactly all those elements? It is matter. Different bodies. In the session, different names, but one common element. May there be well-being for all. We are saying to the mind, oh mind, enough is enough. You have lived with differentiation, dualities, likes and dislikes. Now is the time to live in common element. May there be well-being for all. You supply this knowledge to the mind during the practice of meditation. This mind is not going anywhere. I can tell you. That is the realization of the power of the mantra. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. May there be peace for all. Do you remember the peace our master explains is a good space? What is a good space? That is peace. Good space, you are aware of the space all around, inside and outside, in all the beings, knowing the truth. Without the space, nothing exists. May there be peace for all. Can I not live into that space all the time? During my personal, professional, social activities? Think of that. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. May there be completeness in all. Is mango tree not complete in itself? Bitter gourd plant not complete in itself? They know they are complete in themselves. We do not know. We don't want to realize that we are also complete in ourselves. So you need not to fight with the mind that mind has millions of desires. Make the mind realize that I am complete in myself. The very first thing. That will radiate and emanate the peace and the well-being in you. Then go outside. Choose your profession. Work, work, work. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. May there be happiness or auspiciousness for all. Fundamentally, it means auspiciousness. What is right in a head is going to be peace and happiness. That is the meaning of auspiciousness. Is your mind in that awareness, or is your mind is saying, after an hour I have a lot of agenda to settle, I have a lot of work to do? Look at it. We need to do nothing. We simply awaken the knowledge. When we are a higher level of a seeker, we should listen, principles, contemplate, practice, and now let us go a little deeper with the nyasa that we are doing. Look at the breath. Breath is so-called habitual. Now can I change the rate and the rhythm of the breath? Make it little deep, silent, slow. So that the mind continues to experience the same comfort, same steadiness. You should not overstretch, you should not do it too little. When you do it, when you leave the breath at a habitual level, the mind says, okay, I will invite all the thoughts. But the moment you change the breath, deep, silent and slow, the attention and awareness of the mind should be on the breath. But if you overstretch, the mind says, you see, that is why you are feeling unease. So make sure the breath is. But we want to bypass these two things. Habitual instinct and habitual impressions are overstretching by, as you inhale, move the mind from the inside the right arm in the space from the shoulder to the fingertips and singing mentally. Pick up the any mantra. Om Shanti. Om is the real self. It is made up of Shanti. When you exhale, Move the mind from the fingertips to the shoulder in the space Om Shanti. That is how this mind works. I see, let me take, I see one person, Lara. The mind says, yes, Lara is here. Randy is here. Stephen is here. See, instant. So we want to use the same natural ability of the mind. Om Shanti. Not a big deal. Moving the mind inside the left arm in the same way. Remember, we are not superimposing anything. To drop the instinctive, habitual, impulsive nature of the mind that results in a typical behavior and attitude living in the world because of attachment, causing the emotional dependence on the world outside, needs to be dropped. That is why we are doing this nyasa. Continue with the left arm. Om Shanti. You see the tools we are using, the mantra. We are using, you can say, the pranayama. We are using awareness and attention. We are using comfort and steadiness in the body. The time comes when you even move the body, you can remain in that state. That is what we are exploring. Is it possible? Answer is yes, it is possible. Move the mind inside the right leg. Same with such a softness. Om Shanti. The breath is also moving softly. Where it is moving, it is in the space inside. In the midnight, you have the highways are totally empty. It doesn't mean that we should driving rashly. No rash driving by the mind. Rash driving, you already know. The mind is outside. Now inside the left leg. You discover this mind is absorbed and engaged in doing this. That is keeping your body steady. Don't start allowing the science principles to interfere in the very method of the meditation. The science will say, oh, you have so much of stiffness in the body. Forget about that. That we can take up later. Tell the mind, let me do it. Let the body, which is servant, now move the mind in the spine from the crown of the head. You will find out when the mind is so soft and gentle, it is not at all concerned about the world outside. You will see as if the mind is falling down, dropping down from the crown of the head to the tailbone in the spine. Santoham. And when you exhale, the same deep, silent, slow breathing, the mind, as if it is rising from the tailbone to the crown of the head. The time comes, you discover as if you are too far from the body. In the beginning, we keep the body steady to tell the mind that no more body. Why? To enter into higher consciousness, to drop that emotional dependence. But once you achieve that state, you move the body any way you like, you continue to live into the same state. Om Shanti. Mind is engaged, absorbed. Then we feel as if we are not the body. First step. Continue. That's the first major step, if I say so. Shantoham. No, keep, because to maintain awareness and attention on the breath means to keep the mind engaged and absorbed with the breath. That is why we are doing deep, silent, slow breathing, so that we can place Shantoham and we are aware of the space inside. These are Tantra steps. Tantra step says where the mind is, start the practice there. Shantoham. Now we are limiting the mind, area of the mind pertaining to the world outside. So, Shantoham, when you do it during inhalation, from the crown of the head to the belly button. And Shantoham, when the breath returns from the belly button to the crown of the head. Now see, the simple logic applies. And now, still limit the area again from the crown of the head to the heart. So you slow down the breath also. The mind finds a little more freedom because it is already within. Shantoham. During inhalation, the mind moves from the crown of the head to the heart, within, and from the heart within to the crown of the head. Shantoham. Shantoham. And Shantoham means I am the peace. Are you still aware? Shantoham means I am the peace. Or Om Shanti. We have been doing Om Shanti. More or less the same meaning. Om Shanti. And now even leave the dependence on the breath, allow the breath to be normal. The mind moves from the crown of the head to the forehead inside and gently drop Shantoham or Om Shanti, whatever is easy for you. With a blink of an eyelid, if I say so, you drop the Shantoham. What it means, the mind becomes subtler. Only the subtler mind can reflect the real self within. As long as it is engaged and attached with the objects of the world through the five sense organs, it cannot. Do you see? From there comes attachment, discernment, dispassion, etc., etc. Just dropping Shantoham. You know, when I speak with my lips and you hear the sound, that takes a lot of time. But when you are doing mentally, fraction of a second, Shantoham. So in Tantra, the top of the head symbolizes Shiva, the highest consciousness. Shiva also means auspiciousness. Inside the forehead, third eye means you have a right perception. You have a right knowledge about the real self. Never start thinking, otherwise. doing nothing. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. How are you, Brandy?
I'm pretty good. I had to keep, I liked it when you said something about, you meet your mind where it is, because I realized I was going through what I thought was the practice, but my mind was still kind of agitated. So then it helped me fully engage it into the practice. And sometimes it's easier than others, but that was a good reminder. So thanks.
Yeah. When I separate the hesitation in the mind from my awareness, it is done. I need not to fight. I need not to react. It is already done. Gone. The way you switch on the light, darkness goes away. That is the way. How are you, Lara? Then we'll go to Stephen.
I am good. It's almost fun to learn to kind of play with the practice a little bit too.
Yes.
And from this, because what I found interesting, we hadn't started the nyasa yet in the body, but I was having a lot of sensation in my left side. And so I actually just started to do it in my left arm anyway, because I was feeling like numbness, and I was like, let me let that go away instead of move it. And then we went and did it. And then I kind of got lost in that left arm when we went back there and forgot the right leg. And then all of a sudden we were in the left leg, and I was like, oh, okay, wait a second. So it's interesting just to watch what's happening. And then I did have a lot of movement today. So it's funny when you were like, I was moving, and then you were like, we can go right back into it. And I was like, well, I'm in this, and I just need to move my body for a second and go back into it. So it's just beautiful to observe, to watch.
Beautiful experience. The moment that intellect gives me the right knowledge to the mind, I am at ease. It becomes a play. The meditation is definitely a play and a fun. How are you, Stephen?
Good. Meditation for me was effortless. I was within a almost like a dark cubicle space, where it wasn't without thoughts, but the thoughts came, and as fast as they came, they dissolved and went away. And I just felt in this calm, quiet, peaceful environment. But again, was completely effortless.
Beautiful. You are talking about cubicle. I will add one step related to cubicle coming from the Tantra next session. Yes, that is what happens when you are totally absorbed, means absence of the world. What we discussed, world is absent. What makes the mind realize the real self in the state of absence of the world? But that has to be done, achieved calmly, in peace, in joy. How are you, Internet?
Very good. That was so just immediate peace and relaxation, just and bright, very bright. I was able to, when thoughts came, just observe them and get back into the
That's
meditation.
Good.
Yeah,
It's
it's very nice.
That's very nice. I know progress with everyone. That's what I'm seeing, It inspires me. How are you, Barbara? I'm going in a series the way it is in my virtual screen.
I'm very good, thank you. I felt that I was in meditation this time. As soon as I closed my eyes, it was really amazing.
That
And
is.
yeah, and then it just kept getting deeper and deeper, and I saw a lot of pulsating blue light, but I felt very, very much at peace. It was great.
It was great. You see that is being a seeker. You all are narrating your experiences like a seeker. How are you, Vaibhav?
Sir, I'm good. My experience was my experience was like that. Every moment that is happening, every experience is happening. I'm realizing that this is happening in my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping myself and that moment separate and doing the practice.
That is another way to narrate the beautiful experience. Yes, I am definitely separate. That is logically, otherwise also. How can you? There is unholy wedlock between the matter and the consciousness. And it is because of the mind. Unholy wedlock. And still they don't want to divorce. So how are you, Sangeeta?
सर ऐसा फील हो रहा था जैसे कि स्पेस जो है वो फैल रहा है और मैं सेपरेट हूँ और स्पेस अलग है वैसी फीलिंग हो रही है.
She feels as if the space is expanding. You see that it points out that the mind is totally inside, absorbed. That is what we want. Beautiful. How are you, Ashok? Ashok is frozen. You see that we use the language? It is not true.
Sir, it was yeah, it was good and peaceful and more aware.
More aware.
That's just
Beautiful. Beautiful. You are changing. How are you, Terry? Yeah, Terry is there. Her will. I recognized her will when I met her in 2007, when she took me to her office. When I just landed, hardly 2 months in the United States. I don't normally leave people, but if they want to leave, then it's okay. Yes, Terry.
I don't feel well today, so I don't really want to say anything.
Yes, remember only one thing. You have to break the unholy wedlock between the matter and consciousness. We are consciousness. So you feel not good because at this moment or during or today, too much of dependence of the mind on the world outside. That consists of body, breath, mind, attitude, behavior, thoughts, etc. Is there any question? No question. That's better. And that is all for today. Thank you very much. For all of you, we'll meet in the next session on Saturday. I don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I loved the attachment is the emotional dependence on things, and that creates suffering. That was like gold today. Because I feel like it's like so important to hear over and over and over again.
Brandy, look at her face. She has a glow on her face. Once you have that knowledge, it glows.
It's like everything that makes sense for everything.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're right. Emotional dependence makes the mind run outside. Maybe on a wealth, maybe on a body, maybe on some cosmetics when you are in front of a mirror. Do it, but no emotional dependence.
Right. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
ठीक है
All right, sir.
ठीक है चलो मिलते हैं फिर